So I've been playing Path of Exile 2 quite a bit recently, and I've got a level 89 sorceress, lightning storm weaver sorceress, and I am mostly stalled out because my build sort of sucks, and right, and this isn't a rant about anything about Path of Exile. I do have some uh, uh, thoughts about good and bad in the game, but overall, I've had a good time. What I was interested in though is realizing that to actually move my build forward, I would probably have to trade. Um, and so you go on the website and you can look, but in reality, the trade really is you can go on the website to search, but then to actually trade, you have to whisper the person in game. They have to be online. You have to whisper them in game. They have to stop what they're doing, invite you to a party, if they're already in one. Either kick the other people out, or add you. Uh, Probably go to their hideout. They have to search for the item, get the item from their chest or whatever, pick it out, open the trade window with you right there. And then, of course, you have to make sure that you're not getting scammed by, right, the switcheroo kind of thing, or that they're not giving me a different staff than I wanted, or a different item, and so on. And it's easy enough to think, oh well, that's a weird oversight to not put an auction house in the game, a multiplayer game, and the answer is no, no, no. This is deliberate. And the devs have sort of indicated that this is actually how they want trade to go. And I thought that was very interesting because the I think the rationale is, if I recall and have read correctly, the rationale effectively is gear is an important part of your progression. We want players to be able to trade so that gear is valuable, because otherwise there's a point in an ARPG where everything is garbage except for the one thing you're looking for, right? If all I need is a staff, and I have this problem because I haven't traded in game yet at all. Like, I don't trade in Path of Exile 2, which is fine. But what it means is that 99% of the things I find, or more actually, are pointless. Like, my staff is pretty good for the level I'm at the point that I'm at. It has +6 to all lightning skills, and so on. To up that, I would need a ton of mana on it and +7 to lightning skills. The chance of getting that is close to nothing. And so every other staff I get is mostly garbage. Um, and that includes, like, the fact that there's staffs for fire and ice and so on, right? And wands and focuses, and if you're looking for that one piece of gear, then everything else is sort of trash. But it could be traded, and thus I could get currency, right, to then go buy the interesting thing that I want. Okay, understood. But the developers of POE said, but because gear is so critical to your progression, we can't make it that fast to get. And so if we put an auction house, it would make trade too easy. You would get the good stuff too quickly, thus ruining the game. And I sort of understand this, because part of the joy of the ARPG is finding the loot explosions on the ground, right? When something dies and you get that big pile of crap and you have to sift through it. And obviously trading to get the staff. I pick up every voltaic staff and I check it in case it's the lottery, right? In case I won the voltaic staff lotto. Um, if I can just trade for what I want, I'm gonna just pile all that stuff, sell some of it is valuable to somebody for currency, and then pop back over and buy the staff I need. And then all those loot explosions sort of become garbage again because I no longer care. I'm just picking through for things I can sell because that's the real value. And so it takes a little bit away. So there's this weird issue where it's an ARPG, so I want loot explosions. I want loot box. I want lottery. I want random draws. That's the whole point. Gear has to be important to my progression because that makes the random draw joyous and fun. It gives me something to pursue. The right. But I reach a peak. I've reached a point where my power curve is now flat. Like I am not progressing pretty much at all. Now some of that is my build. Some of that is my play is sloppy, and yeah. Let's don't. We're not talking about me right now. This isn't critiquing me. Um, if anyone wants to help me, feel free. But so I thought it's super interesting because effectively what they're doing is they're taking something outside the game. So we've made this progression path where trade really is an inherent part of getting to a certain point. All the people running all the best crap have traded for it. How about this? 95+% of all the people running all the best crap have traded for it. I'm not certain of that number, but I would bet a little bit of I bet a bourbon on that number. Um, right, because the amount of stuff that you get is so big, the amount of stuff that you get that is for you and fits your build and works for you is so small that selling it and trading it is the optimal solution. That's absolutely the case. But to slow it down, we've made it inconvenient. And that to me is super interesting. We're taking something outside the game and working it into the game design. Instead of saying, well, we're going to trade, but somehow, now I don't know what the answer is, what I would tell them to do, right? You know, progression would be too fast with trading. Well, could we fix that? Well, instead we just made trading inconvenient. It'd be a lot like people complaining about, oh, at 5th edition games are great until you hit like 10th, 14th level and then it sucks. So we'll write the books in Latin to slow you down. We don't fix the high levels or we don't slow progression down inside the game. We took something external, metagame. We wrote the book in Latin. Now you're slow because you got to learn Latin. Done. There you go. And translate Latin. Now you see this inconvenience as game design. The other place you often see it is in any old school MMO, or old school emulated MMO, right? Where it's like, oh, we want to get back to EverQuest, and we want to, right, and that's fine. I loved EverQuest, by the way. But they immediately do things like, well, we got to take away mini maps. You can't have a map or a mini map because that's convenient, and old school is about not convenient. And we'll take away. Now there's a slightly different take on this, which is trying to fix like a social problem, like taking away a looking like a looking for group, a dungeon finder, for instance, and forcing folks to call out for groups, and in so doing, trying to make sure that you have a social presence in the game and that you are, you have a reputation or whatever, and supposed to randomly throwing a bunch of people together. But that makes it harder to find groups. That's not quite what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about making the game inconvenient as part of the design, right? Clunky as part of the design. Um, and again, I'm not sure how this sort of plays into like a game like Morrowind, where it doesn't give you quest markers. Is that inconvenient? Like, at what point does it cross? Like, that sort of brings up an interesting question, right? What quality of life elements do you find required, and what's okay. Like in Morrowind, having to find the quest stuff, I believe, is part of the experience. Some people would go, but there's no quest marker, so I don't know where to go, so I hate it, right? So that's obviously a different level for me. And I realize I'm more nasally than I usually am because I'm a little bit stuffed up. So that's interesting, right? Because I might find that okay, and other people might go, "Well, this sucks. I hate this. I want to know exactly where to go." Right? You are making my game inconvenient. Um, so I don't have an answer. I don't even have more of a question. I just so Do you have any examples of this inconvenience as part of game design? Do you think it's a good idea? I understand the Path of Exile devs. I understand where they're going and why they went there. I don't feel good that that's the answer. I'm not certain that answer necessarily satisfies me. It doesn't have to satisfy me. I'm not writing the game, but you know what I mean. Like I'm not sure that it doesn't make me feel weird about it a little bit. But I understand because it's true, right? If I could just go buy all the stuff, in fact, some of these prices they can't be real. They're super low, like +7. I could get, a uh, +7 lightning speed. See, I wouldn't buy a 30% reduced requirements. I would buy this. You get some bonus to spell damage +7. The 68% mana regen rate would be great. That kind of stuff. That's great. One exalted, that price can't be right. But nonetheless, they're correct. The best thing for me to do is go out here and buy every slot. I can buy something better. I could probably up my mana by, gosh, probably 400 or 500 with some of these items that I see here, and I should go out and do that. But if I did that easily, then I don't need to look for loot ever again. And so, what's that mean, right? So, what's the answer? What other examples do you have? Do you like how this works in Path of Exile? Do you agree with it? Do you agree with the general concept of just making something inconvenient in a metagame sense, right? Not inconvenient in a in-game sense. None of this is in-game. It's just we don't have the system in-game. You have to just go manually do this. Good luck. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's a good idea? Bad idea? That's it. I thought that was super interesting. That why they lack a trade in-game auction house or an in-game trade system. I thought that was interesting, and it just struck me as sort of a neat design choice. So that's it. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day.